15. Loyalty, security. While domestic loyalty and security matters with regard to potential and actual federal employees have been treated with concern during World War II, investigations in pursuit of these ends became more vigorous with the onset of the Cold War and the communist menace perceived in the late 1940s and 1950s. The signal for this heightened probing of public employee political sentiments, generally conducted by the Civil Service Commission's Bureau of Personnel Investigations and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Some agencies, such as the Atomic Energy Commission and the Armed Service Departments, had their own personnel investigative services, was probably President Truman's March 21, 1947 directive establishing a government-wide loyalty security program and an organizational framework for its administration. Quote, when President Truman issued his 1947 executive order initiating the Loyalty Security Program for federal employees, he struck a new note in the expanded concept of executive powers. In all previous peacetime loyalty testing experience, Congress, rather than President, had taken the lead. Controversy greeted the order. Some critics condemned it as totally unnecessary, others as needful but excessively rigorous, and still others as too mild. Truman may well have headed off more stringent congressional action in this arena, but former Interior Secretary Harold Ickes insisted that the order resulted from cabinet hysteria engendered by Attorney General Tom C. Clark's pressures upon the president. The listing of alleged subversive organizations, association with which equated disloyalty for a federal official, by the Attorney General has been one of the most fertile sources of disagreement. Never before in American history, even during war crises, had the government officially established public blacklists for security purposes. The vast literature supporting and condemning the executive loyalty order has searched deeply into complex and contradictory aspects of contemporary American life. American liberals had long crusaded for the kind of executive initiative that Truman exhibited, but exempted the field of civil rights from governmental interference even in the cause of security. Conservatives, who decried extensions of federal functions, demanded that the security program increase in rigor, scope, and effectiveness. Disagreement centers upon the means the program used rather than the ends it sought. The nation's servants, it seemed, could not have their positions and at the same time enjoy traditional privileges of citizenship. End quote. Footnote: Harold M. Hyman, To Try Men's Souls, Loyalty Tests in American History, Berkeley and Los Angeles, University of California Press, 1959, page 334. In brief, the President's order required a loyalty investigation of every individual entering federal employment. This inquiry was to be conducted by the Civil Service Commission in most cases. Sources to be consulted in such a probe included FBI, Civil Service, Armed Forces Intelligence, and House Committee on Un-American Activities Committee's files, as well as those of, quote, any other appropriate government investigative or intelligence agency, end quote, pertinent local law enforcement holdings, the applicant's school, college, and prior employment records, and references given by the prospective employee. Department and agency heads were responsible for removing disloyal employees and appointed loyalty boards composed of not less than 3 representatives from their unit to hear loyalty cases. The Loyalty Review Board within the Civil Service Commission examined cases where an employee was being dismissed from the federal government for reason of disloyalty. Activities and associations of an applicant or employee which might be considered in connection with the determination of disloyalty included one or more of the following: A. Sabotage, espionage, or attempts or preparations therefor, or knowingly associating with spies or saboteurs. B. Treason or sedition or advocacy thereof. C. Advocacy of revolution or force or violence to alter the constitutional form of government of the United States. D. intentional unauthorized disclosure to any person under circumstances which may indicate disloyalty to the United States of documents or information of a confidential or non-public character obtained by the person making the disclosure as a result of his employment by the government of the United States. E. Performing or attempting to perform his duties or otherwise acting so as to serve the interests of another government in preference to the interests of the United States. F. Membership in, affiliation with, or sympathetic association with any foreign or domestic organization, association, movement, group, or combination of persons designated by the Attorney General as totalitarian, fascist, communist, or subversive, or as having adopted a policy of advocating or approving the commission of acts of force or violence to deny other persons their rights under the Constitution of the United States, or as seeking to alter the form of government of the United States by unconstitutional means." End quote. While the program raised a variety of questions regarding the civil rights of federal employees, it also generated a cache of information of intelligence interest, but of questionable quality. Quote, "The loyalty testing problem remained to face Republican President Dwight Eisenhower. Soon after he assumed office, Eisenhower modified the loyalty testing program. His 1953 directive decentralized the security apparatus to the agency level and altered the criteria for dismissal to include categories of security risks: homosexuals, alcoholics, persons undergoing psychiatric treatment, without reference to subversion. But security risk and disloyalty had already become a fixed duo in the public mind. The Eisenhower modification, which eliminated the Loyalty Review Board, did not basically alter the loyalty testing structure. Other executive orders and legislative requirements have extended loyalty security processes to passport applicants, port employees, industrial workers, American officials in the United Nations, recipients of government research grants, and scientists engaged in official research and development programs. The military services and the Atomic Energy Commission, recently dissolved to form the Energy Research and Development Administration, and the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, conduct their own clearance procedures. The American national government, in short, has been involved in an unending, almost 24-year-long search for subversives. How effective this drive has been, no one has yet satisfactorily proved." End quote. The Civil Service Commission continues to conduct most of these investigations for the majority of federal agencies. The Defense Investigative Service performs the personnel clearance function for Defense Department employees and may provide assistance to other entities in these matters at the direction of the Secretary of Defense. This is Our Hidden History